Well, you screwer, back on your ABC with you for the second episode of the You Screwer Show. And on this episode, I've got two fabulous guests for you this time. And this time, of course, I have made sure I have booked in two guests, because remember, in my first episode of the You Screwer Show, I did have the very wonderful Tony Armstrong booked in for the show. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Tony was unable to appear on the show on that episode, and we are sort of talking to Tony and seeing if he can spare some time to come back on the show another time. He's quite very busy at the moment, as you would know. But anyway, we did manage on that show to coordinate the efforts to retrieve Tony Armstrong's mum's scarf, which unfortunately was taken from him off his person that particular evening when he was down watching some sport on the TV screens at Federation Square. And a big thank you, of course, to the people in the official Tony Armstrong fan club, the ABC Wardens, and of course the animatic colleague of mine, Gary Kilson, who all assisted in the retrieval of Tony Armstrong's mum's scarf in good condition. Now, my first guest tonight is a leading sleep expert who has travelled the world teaching the techniques and the benefits of getting a good night's sleep, or in some cases for some people who have to work at night, a good day's sleep. Including too, he talks about power napping and siestas and so forth. Of course, it is none other, you probably know him, it is Geoffrey Goodnight. And Geoffrey has written several books on the subject of sleeping, which includes his brand new book, which of course is titled Sleeping in the Sky with Diamonds. Now, I have to admit to you, I did try and get hold of a copy of Geoffrey Goodnight's new book, Sleeping in the Sky with Diamonds, with a view to do a little bit of reading to enhance my question making on this show, but I was unable to obtain a copy of the book at the two good bookstores I went to. In retrospect, maybe I should have gone to maybe a bad bookstore, and I may have been able to obtain a copy of Geoffrey Goodnight's new book, Sleeping in the Sky with Diamonds. I do, however, have my own biography, which I written a few months ago. I completed a few months ago. It was published a few months ago. It is, of course, You Screwer, Way of the Adsum, and the by title, of course, is 30 Years of Signature Walking. So that book is ready to step into the breach, so to speak. I just hope that Geoffrey has had a chance to read my biography, Way of the Adsum. Pardon me. Anyway, we're ready to meet Justin. Just in case my producer has said we're having a couple of difficulties, but no, we've got Geoffrey Goodnight on the screen. Welcome Geoffrey Goodnight to the You Screwer Show, and congratulations on the new book, Sleeping in the Sky with Diamonds. I've already admitted to the viewers, Geoffrey, look, I did try and get a copy of your book at some good bookstores, but were unable to get a copy. I might try tomorrow at maybe some bad bookstores. So, welcome, Geoffrey. And look, Geoffrey, can you please give the viewers, a brief summary of what they can expect in the book, including any great new sleeping tips that they probably haven't heard before. Go ahead, Jeff. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Jeffrey, good night. You're on the Hugh Screw Show, can you hear me? Just going, we're having a couple of technical difficulties. I'm just going to signal to my producer just in case. Jeffrey, yeah, just to give the phone contact that we've got for Jeffrey Goodnight a call, just to see if we can iron out some of these difficulties. It's gone straight through to voicemail. Well, that's not going to help. Look, it does appear that Jeffrey Goodnight has in fact fallen asleep in the comfort of his couch in his country home. We'll just make an attempt just by loudening my voice. Jeffrey Goodnight, wake up! It's Hugh Screwer here. Jeffrey Goodnight. Wake up, Jeff! Jeffrey Goodnight, wake up, Jeff! Look, I think that my sort of shouting at him through the microphone is really just in vain. Anyway, let's go. Well, actually, one thing we can talk about with Jeffrey Goodnight. Notice that Jeffrey was sporting one of the very serviceable and versatile Tony Armstrong style moustaches, which are very popular. And I think I have said it once before, but I'll say it again. Look, you know, people talk about this much vaunted pub test. The Tony Armstrong style moustaches, they've certainly been pub tested, they've been club tested, they've been tested at Crazy's nightclub tested. Look, they've even been tested at, you know, last day of work, leaving celebrations when the person who's leaving, you know, really loads themselves up on more drinks than they might have ordinarily done, and you know, and makes that speech, you know, where they instead of sort of giving some sort of celebratory, you know, nice celebratory speech of their work, they basically let it all out and say, you know, you're all a bunch of bastards and I've hated working every day with all of you. Well, the Tony Armstrong style moustaches, they've been tested at those events as well, and they always come through. I usually don't, I couldn't say never, but I usually don't leave home without a Tony Armstrong style moustache. There you have it. Okay, so that was Jeffrey Goodnight. Now look, we'll get on to the next guest. Now, my next guest, he needs no introduction to ABC viewers. No introduction at all to ABC viewers. The only thing, of course, if I don't give him an introduction, I don't really see how we're going to move the show forward. So I better introduce him. Look, welcome, of course, to Nigel of Nigel's Wax with fame. It's just been approved for a 4th series on the ABC. Nigel's very successful and popular show, Nigel's Wax with Fame, where he gets the great Australian, so-called great Australian guests on, and has a nice cosy chat to them, while all the time he's basically making up a life-size and lifelike wax replica of the guests. So, welcome, Nigel. First time on my show, of course I have been on your show, haven't I? Yes, I was, of course, a guest on Nigel's Wax with Fame. Well, hello you, and we meet once again, and it's been a while, but we have developed and maintained a very respectful working relationship. Unfortunately, at this particular time, I must sincerely apologise to yourself and to the ABC viewers out there, because I am in effect double booked for this session. Unfortunately, that's come about. I'm actually doing a sitting up in Ita's office with Ita herself and Tony Armstrong, and have been making wax replicas of both Ita and Tony Armstrong. Now these wax replicas of Ita and Tony Armstrong are to be on display in the ABC Hall of Fame, both together. Ita's concept is for the wax replica of Tony Armstrong to be glaring admirably at the wax replica of Ita. Look, I would be able to stay and chat a little bit. I have just about finished both wax replicas, but Ita has stipulated that there must also, Tony Armstrong's wax replica must also have on it, around its neck, the Tony Armstrong's mum scarf. So in effect, I've got to make a wax replica of Tony's Armstrong's scarf and include it on the wax replica of Tony Armstrong. So I will have to get back very shortly to Ita's office, as that's the stipulation. Well, Nigel, couldn't you, if you've nearly finished the the two wax replicas, that you've just got to make Tony's Armstrong, you've just got to make a scarf. Look, wouldn't it be easier to just buy or borrow a neck scarf that's like Tony Armstrong's mum's scarf and just have it wrapped around in the wax replica in the Hall of Fame? And then you just let Ida know that that's what you're doing. That way you can stay and chat to me on my show, because the viewers would like to hear from you, I'm sure. Well, no, that will not do. It will not do to just borrow from Tony Armstrong his mum's scarf and place it on the wax replica displayed in the ABC Hall of Fame. The reasons are this, Hugh. Now, as you know, since it was revealed that Michael Rowland was the one who took Tony Armstrong's mum's scarf from around his neck down at Federation Square on that night. The second time it was taken, fortunately, of course, it was returned to Tony quite expediently on that night, and we're all happy about that. Now, Michael Rowlands has been very contrite with Ida, and she agreed to install all his ABC senior news presenter privileges, and that of course includes 24-hour access to the ABC Hall of Fame. Now, the alarmingly thing that Michael did admit to Ida was that he really only wanted to borrow for a time Tony Armstrong's mum's scarf. With it, the reason behind it, he thought that if he could just wear the scarf for a while during his leisure time, that some of that famed Tony Armstrong charisma might rub off on Michael. So it's going to be too much temptation to have that scarf where it could be removed as an accessory. It could be quickly removed from the neck of the wax replica of Tony Armstrong in the Hall of Fame by Michael Rowland. So that's why ITA has stipulated no, that it must be included in the wax replica of Mr. Tony Armstrong. Well, I can understand that there are some members of the official Tony Armstrong fan club who would be happy if Michael Rowland had gone down in a fiery, twisted mass of molten metal over Macho Grande. Was Michael Rowland really over Macho Grande? No one ever gets over Macho Grande, Nigel. Well then, I guess that gives it away that neither Tony Armstrong or Tony will be appearing as guests in your new, well, your fourth series of Nigel's Wax with Fame. Well, since you have already made wax replicas of them, so I just take it that, well, they wouldn't be appearing on your show because you've already made their wax replicas. Well, and that's interesting that you should say that, Hugh, but I just said that as on my show Nigel's Wax with Fame, as I'm cosily having a nice old chat to the guests, and I, while chatting, I make their wax replica of them behind a screen, so I'm not revealing it to the end. And I do ask them, of course, to go away at the end for a 20-minute walk or a cup of coffee so I can finish off the finer detail of their wax replica. I just says, well, as it's behind a screen that I shut, when we are planning on getting both ITA and Tony Armstrong on season 4 of Nigel's Wax with Fame, but ITA says we'll just borrow the wax replicas temporarily from the Hall of Fame and we'll pretend that I'm making them while I'm having a cosy little chat to them on the show. Now hang on here, Nigel. Whatever happened to, just like in the words, whatever happened to the words of the Cold Chisel song about Ida, about telling the truth, about getting a dose of integrity, and how could I not believe when Ida tells me to? Let me remind you, Nigel, that it was my appearance on your Wax with Fame show that gave you the gold-plated integrity stamp that made it even more popular. That was when I appeared on and of course that was your most popular show, Nigel. That was your most popular show when I was on it. It turned out to be your most popular. It wasn't initially, but it had the most over a period of time. It ticked over the most views. Okay, Justin, my producer Justin Cates. Look, let's just remind viewers of when I went on Nigel's Wax with Fame and the challenge that I made to Nigel and their exchange of words when he was making my wax replica on his show. Yeah, and look, Nigel, you don't want to let your integrity and your integrity slip. So, yeah, okay. So let's just watch it. Well, I'm just about the stage where I just need to maybe half an hour to sort of finish off the finer details of your wax replica. And while you go out and walk around and take in the sights around the studio here, I'll finish off. Yeah, no, Nigel, I'm not going anywhere. I have seen that on your show. I've seen it on your show where you basically say, yeah, just go for a walk around the block for half an hour and come back and I'll finish off your wax replica of yourself, your life-size wax replica. Well, how do they know? How do they know that they're taking a walk around the block for half an hour or going and get a cup of coffee or something? How do they know? Because that screen there, you can't really see what you've done. How do people know that you don't just get other artists in to finish off the wax thing? They might be doing most of the work, and in fact, in that half hour, you might get several people in, and then they come back and you, oh look, I've finished this and I've done this for you, and blah blah blah. Yeah, so I'm not doing it. I'm staying here. Yeah, well, okay, yeah, we can shut up and we can cut this bit out while you go and work away for half an hour. But the thing is, what we're going to do is, when you show me that finished wax dummy, right? So this is what people know that's going out. I will exclaim the words, Nigel did that all himself. So for people watching this at home, if I don't say Nigel did that all himself, you know that Nigel is a bit of a fake. That you're a bit of a fraud, Nigel, yeah. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. So, yeah, I'll just sit here. Yeah, don't let me stop you from finishing off the wax replica. You're not going to go anywhere. Well, you are being quite difficult, Hugh. You are being quite a screwer. That is the format of the show. Everybody else complies with it. Yes, you say nobody screws with you. Yes, that is a bit predictable, but oh, you just sit there. I will go back here and I'll work away behind the screen for half an hour. No, I know you can't come around and look, and that is pure. I'll prove to you that is pure fiction that I basically tell people to go away so that I can get other people in to actually finish off the wax replicas. I'll prove it to you, and yes, you can say those words and that will prove to all the viewers of this. Yes, okay. Yes. Just be quiet back there, you, because I want complete, I want to work in complete silence for half an hour, because otherwise it'll take longer to get the job done. Okay. Yeah, well, that'll do. There you have it. And of course, I did stick around in the studio the whole time while Nigel would finish off my wax replica by himself, and that sort of that sort of pushed back against any claims that Nigel might have had assistance from other artists when he gets the guests in his show to go away for 20 minutes while he finishes off. Because I was the only one of the guests who stayed through the whole experience, if you like. Look, my advice to Nigel would be not to have Ita and Tony Armstrong appear on the show, unless the alternative would be, yes, you have them appear on the show, but you come clean to the viewers that you've already made wax replicas of them, which are in the museum. There's nothing wrong with making another wax replica. It could be slightly different. It could be slightly different facial expressions. Different clothing. Different jewelry, accessories. It could be it'd still be lifelike of Ita and Tony Armstrong, but you're just admitting to the viewers, you're still getting them on for the cosy chat and that, and making a wax replica, but you've already made wax replicas. Because I think to try and trick viewers like you've suggested, that Ida's suggesting, that could be quite a problem for integrity for the ABC. Well, you've made your position clear. That's interesting feedback. I will take your opinion back to Ida, and I bid you and the viewers good day and best of luck to you with the You Screw Show. I better see who this phone's from. Hello, You Screwer here? Oh, it's you, Ida. Ring on the Gary Kilson phone, so it's very resourceful of you to have the number. You did watch the first You Screwer show. Yes. Yeah, that's clever of you, Ida. Yeah. No, I'm not giving Nigel or yourself any grief, Ida. I'm just looking out for the integrity of Nigel, yourself and of Artie, the ABC. I know you're making plans for Nigel, and look, if Nigel says he's happy, he must be happy in his way. Well, what do I really think of you, Ida? Well, okay, yeah, I'll speak candidly. Look, I've had a few meetings with you in your office regarding certain matters around Michael Rowland exposing the location of my elite training academy, known as Top Screw, of course. I had meetings with you regarding that, and meetings were about also we sort of come to agreement that you'd agreed to my You Screw show. I had several meetings with you in the office, and look, Ida, although the desktop hides your hips, my imagination is strong, Ida. Yes, quite strong. Yes, you're a very attractive woman, no doubt about that. So there you have it. So you're making plans for me too, Ida? Like, what are you axing the show? No. You're offering me a position of the ABC's marquee presenter, which would be in effect, the highest ranked presenter on the network. That's quite, that's quite an offer. Look, I don't know. Look, for many years, it's decades now. Look, I've been a trainer of ADSIMs. That's what I know. That's what I do. I don't think that. Look, I don't think that I do justice to the job, Ida. I think that probably as other people could take it. I thank you very much for the offer, but even with the ADSIM training, I'm not having like a road to Damascus moment, but you can probably people can gradually sense that I started thinking what have I done, what have I done training ADSIMs for all this time, is it gradual thinking, is it time I sort of did something that was more noble, more altruistic, and what? Yeah, how many Ida? Well, G'day, You Screwer. Thanks very much for welcoming me on to the You Screwer show. And giving me a chance to promote my new book, of course, Sleeping in the Sky with Diamonds. There you Scry. I'm not getting your voice. I'm able to see you, Scry, and I can see you talking to a guy. He's got a blonde afro hair, and he's wearing a shark's tooth necklace, and he's got pair of blue shorts on. Looks like a bit of a character to me. But anyway, you look. I hope. Look, when your producer Justin Case phoned me to prep me for the interview, I mentioned to him that, look, if you want to get hold of my new book, Lucy in the Sky with not Sleeping in the Sky with Diamonds. Not Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Sleeping in the Sky with Diamonds. Look, you won't be able to get it at a good bookstore. You're better off going to bad bookstores to get it. So I hope that Justin was able to relay that message to you. Speaking of books, I did manage to get a copy of your autobiography, You Screw Away at the Adsum, from a good bookstore. So, and most people the most question I get is, what's a new, really good tips on getting good sleeping session, and and mostly people always want to, are there any new sleeping tips that you have that you've come across? And look, I have got a new one, and it wasn't in my, it's not included in my new book, Sleeping in the Sky of Diamonds, because I've only just come across it myself, and the answer is actually in your book. You Screw Away at the Adsum, of course, because I've found it. Your book, rather than being, what they cliche call, a page turner, that this book I've only got to read, sometimes a few paragraphs, sometimes a couple of pages, and it puts me in the land of Nod. So look, anybody, stick to what's worked for you in the past with getting good sleeping sessions. But if you are having trouble sleep, look, I recommend, do yourself a favour, go out to a good bookstore and pick up a copy of You Screwer's Way of the Adsum, and you'll find you can drop off to sleep very easily after reading a bit of You Screwer's new book. And that's probably what happened. That's probably what happened to you when I might have. But I was reading when I was waiting for. I was waiting for your video call. I was actually reading some of your book. I may have inadvertently just dozed off for a while. So I apologise to your viewers and to yourself, of course, and to Ita. Speaking of, when I was talking to Justin Case, your producer, he did say it would be possible. It may be possible, at least, to for me to have a short conversation with Ita Buttrose herself, who's chairman of the ABC and your boss in that respect. And to the other thing too, yes, well, just in case, he did prep me to wear one of these Tony Armstrong style moustaches for our interview. It was just in case, as preparation, just in case the interview went down in tempo, it would be a quick talking point to turn it around on talking about the Tony Armstrong style moustaches. So I might just remove it. There's nothing wrong with the Tony Armstrong style moustaches, but I just mentioned to people, like, I'm more in the camp of the mustard style moustaches. Yes, I'm much more vested in the, you can wear it either way, but that's probably the traditional pat mustard style moustaches, something like that. But moustaches aside, very interested to be able to gain a audience with Ida. I love Ida. Always love Ida. You always get a dose of integrity with Ida. And I do remember that famous great Cold Chisel song, which was written about Ida, and it was a very, very good song. It had a very lively sort of musical intro, and then I just try to remember how it started off. Every night when I get home, I settle down for prime time limbo, and all the boys are gathering round, shouting Ida's on TV. Well, I know what a lot of you at home will be thinking. I wish that I could sing like that. But, not everything's singing these days. It's all about rhythm and melody.